Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I'm Hasham Ali Khan. So now in this video, I'm continuing the topic of unit number 3. In the last video, I have explained you about the contents of unit number 3. That is, what are business transactions, what are the source document, what are vouchers, and how to record the transactions in ERP, and what are the different types of vouchers. Briefly, I have explained in the last video. Now in this video, I am going in depth explaining the first 3 questions of this third unit. The first question regarding what are business transactions and give examples of business transactions. Secondly, what are source documents and what are its features and importance. Lastly, the different types of source documents. These are the 3 topics I'm going to cover up in this video, because mostly in examination, every now and then they will ask the question regarding these 3 points. So take a screenshot of these points, then I'll explain all the points in detail. Come on, I'm starting now with the question, what is business transactions, and what discuss about the various business transactions in a company. Very frequently this question will be asked in examination. So what is a business transaction? A business transaction is an event or activity which is measured in terms of money. A business is said to be a bundle of activities. A number of activities will be performed by the business. If those events and activities can be measured in terms of money, it is called a business transactions. And these business transactions will affect the result of the operations of the business and also the financial position of the business. So whatever transactions takes place in the business, that will affect on the profitability and the financial position of the business. So before start explaining about the process of recording the transactions, first of all, a student should be clear regarding what are business transactions. Simply we can say a transaction means exchange of money or money's worth. That is the meaning of the term transaction. Now examples of transactions. Few examples of transactions are, first, buying of goods and services. Selling of goods and services. Normally, a business organizations will perform buying and selling activity normally. So buying of goods or buying of services, or selling of goods, selling of services. These are transactions. Next one is obtaining checks or cash for the goods services provided by the business. Obtaining cash or checks for the goods or services supplied by the business. When the business sells the goods or when the business supplies the services, it will receive the cash, it will receive the check. That is also a transaction. Next one, giving loans to other companies. Sometimes a business will provide the loan to others. That is also a transaction. Next one, giving salaries to the employees. Very common transaction every business will incur is giving the salary to the employees. That is a transaction. Next, borrowing cash from other business entities for business purpose. Normally, a company, a business will borrow the money for the purpose of the business. When borrowing is done, it is also a transaction, business transaction. Then acquisition of assets. The business will purchase a number of assets to be used in the business. Example, purchasing the machinery, purchasing furniture, purchasing a plant, purchasing a building. These are all the assets purchased. That is also a transaction. Next, payment for payables to suppliers. We sell the goods to the customers and we purchase the goods from the suppliers. So selling the goods to customer is a business transaction. Purchasing the goods or services from the supplier, that is also a transaction. Next, payment on borrowings. Sometimes the business wants to borrow the money. Normally a bank, the business will borrow the money from the bank. So borrowing from bank or borrowing from any other entities, that's also a transaction. Last one, investment made by the company. The business will make investments in a number of assets. Like the business will purchase a security, shares, debentures, bonds. That is the investment made. Sometimes the business is having surplus funds. The surplus fund should not be kept idle, because idle money will not generate any income. So this excess money will be invested. So investment made by the company is also a business transaction. So these are few examples. You should not think that these are the only business transactions. No. N number of business transactions will take place. These are only the examples. Now, in performing all these activities, the company will have to transfer money or money is worth. While performing all these transactions, money is involved or money is worth. That means goods are involved. So whenever there is exchange of money or money is worth, it is called a transaction. And transaction will affect the profitability and financial position of the business. The first question in this unit is regarding what are business transaction examples. I have explained. Now second question is, what are the source documents? What is the nature of source document? What is the importance of source document? This is very, very important. Every transaction will be entered in the books of accounts on the basis of evidence proof. The proof of evidence. That evidence proof are the source document. Only on the basis of source document, the transaction will be entered in the books of accounts. Without evidence, no entry will be passed. No transaction will be entered. So we need some evidence of the transaction. And that evidence is called source document. And popularly, the source document are called vouchers. First of all, in a company, the transactions are recorded on the basis of documentary proof and called as source of document, or popularly known as vouchers. The first definition: the source documents are the documentary proof on the basis of which the transactions are recorded, and popularly these source documents are called vouchers. These documents show the nature and amount of the transaction. On the basis of this documentary proof, we are entering the transaction. So this documentary proof will explain, will show what is the nature of the transaction and how much is the amount involved in the transaction. Next, vouchers are bills. Now examples of vouchers. A number of documentary proofs are there. Vouchers are there. Examples are bills, invoices, receipts, cash memos, registration deed, counterfoil of checks, traveling allowance bills, salary bills, and any other written proof which indicates that the nature has taken place, that the transaction has taken place. Examples are bills, invoices, cash memos, bank check counterfoil, paying slip of the bank. Apart from that, a number of deeds, contracts, documents. So debit note, credit note, all these are the documentary proof or source documents on the basis of which the transaction are recorded, and these documents will explain the nature of the transaction. That's it. So I've explained you about the meaning of the term source document. Now what are the features of this source document? The first feature, it is in writing form. Every documentary proof should be in writing. So all the vouchers, all the source documents will be in writing, written document. Next, it acts as a documentary evidence. It's a proof. Every source document is a proof that this transaction had taken place. Thirdly, it shows the complete detail of the transaction, the nature of the transaction, the amount of the transaction, the date of the transaction. All the details are specified in this source document. Next, it supports the entry that appears in the books of accounts. It is evidence. It supports. So always there is authenticity of the transaction. This authenticity is given by the source document. It's a proof that this transaction took place. Next one is, it ensures that accuracy of the accounts, books of accounts. By having this, all this source document, we can say the accounts are accurate. When the accounts are accurate, when all the transactions are supported by documentary evidence. This is the nature. Now importance, it's very, very important. these source documents are very, very important. How it is important? First, these documents are helpful in comparing, verifying and examining the transaction. Comparing, verifying, examining the transactions, this documentary proof will support. Simply, if a business says our sales are 10 lakh rupees, we can't believe. We must have the proof. If sales invoices are there, cash memos are there, then we can say there is sales. Suppose if a business says we paid a salary of 5 lakh rupees, what is the proof? We need the proof. Salary register we require. Check payment we require. So documentary proof will help in finding out the evidence of the transaction. They are considered as important document for auditing. Nowadays, every business organization will get their accounts audited by a chartered accountant, by a professional qualified accountant. So auditing can be done only when there is evidence of the transaction. So these documentary evidence source documents are very much helpful in the activity of auditing. Then they act as evidence in a court of law. Many a times in different court of law, the court requires evidence. So this source document can be presented before the court of law, showing the evidence of the transactions. Next one is, it allows to check the date, parties, amount and transaction details. Later on, if there is any conflict arising between different parties, then this source document can be presented, because source document will show the amount, the nature of the transaction, the date of the amount, everything will be specified in the source document. Next, last one is, it provides documentary evidence that the transaction has actually taken place. Ultimately, the importance of this source document is, it will act as a conclusive proof that this transaction took place on this date. So this shows the importance of source document or vouchers. Two questions I have completed. First question, I have explained you business transactions and examples of business transaction. Second, I have explained you about the source document and what are the features and importance of source document. Last question is, give some examples of source document or vouchers. See here, a number of examples are there. In the last video, I have explained you that Tally accounting package has given nearly 20 defined vouchers. Apart from that, a business organization can make their own vouchers according to the requirement or modify the existing vouchers. So give some examples of the source document. The examples, discuss the various types of source document. Some of the various types of source document are, first one, receipt. Receipt is a document which is issued when cash or check is received. Whenever a business receives cash or receives a check, it will issue a receipt, and this receipt is a source document for entering the transaction in the books of accounts. Similarly, cash memo. The cash memos are generally issued whenever goods are sold for cash or purchased for cash. Example, when a business sells the goods on cash, it will make a cash memo. It will issue the cash memo to the customer. Similarly, when a business purchases the goods from the supplier on cash, the supplier will issue a cash memo for the purchase of goods. So normally, cash memos are used for the purpose of cash sales or cash purchases. Next comes paying slip. Paying slip is the deposit in slip. When a person deposits cash or check in a bank, a document will be used for depositing cash and check. The document is called pay-in slip or deposit slip. In this pay-in slip, the customer will write down the details about the amount of the cash, amount of check, date, and he puts his signature and submits this pay-in slip to the bank. The banker will keep the body of the pay-in slip, and the counterfoil of the pay-in slip will be returned to the customer, putting his signature and stamp. So when the banker has put the stamp and signature on the counterfoil of the pay-in slip, that counterfoil will become a source document for writing the transaction, that this amount is deposited in the bank. Next comes invoice and bills. These invoices and bills are raised when goods are sold for cash or purchased for cash. So normally what will happen when the goods are sold on credit, sorry, not on cash, but on credit. When goods are sold on credit, invoice or bill will be raised. The original invoice will be given to the buyer, to the customer, and the duplicate bill will be kept by the business. And this duplicate bill invoice will be used as a source document for recording credit sales. Similarly, we get the invoice on buying the goods. We are having a business. We purchased goods on credit from the supplier. The supplier will issue the invoice. The supplier will issue invoice to the buyer. I am the buyer. I will get. The original invoice I am getting from the supplier. And this original invoice on goods purchased will be used as a source document. So invoices and bills are the source document. Next, checks. When a business pays the supplier or any party through checks, so the business will record the detail of the checks in counterfoil or note to checks. On the checkbook we will have a notebook. In that notebook of check we will record the details. To whom the check is issued, what is the amount of the check, what is the date of the check, what are the details. All these details will be recorded in the check notebook. And this check notebook will be used as a source document to recording the payments made through bank. Next comes credit note. Credit note is also a source of document which is issued when there is a sales return from the buyer, from the customer. Example, I am having a business and you are my customer. I sold goods to you on credit. Later on, the buyer has returned back the goods. So it will be a sales return to me. Earlier I have sold the goods to you. Now you have returned back some goods to me. It's a sales return. So whenever there is a sales return, the supplier will make a credit note indicating that the buyer's account is credited. When I am the seller, when I sell the goods to you, your account is debited. When you return back the goods, your account will be credited. So when the customer's account is credited, we will issue credit note explaining that your account is credited in my books. So on receiving this credit note, the customer will make a debit note and supply the debit note to the supplier. I am the supplier. I will issue a credit note to you and you will issue a debit note to me explaining that I am crediting your account in my books and you are debiting my account in your books. So debit note will be prepared by purchaser and credit note will be prepared by the seller. That's it. And both debit note and credit note are the source document, vouchers. Credit note, on the basis of credit note, entry will be recorded in sales return. Credit note, entry will be recorded in sales return. Through debit note, entries will be recorded in purchase return. So you will record in purchase return, I will record in sales return. I will record the sales return on the basis of credit note and you will record the purchase return on the basis of debit note. That's it. And both debit note and credit note are vouchers, source document. Next, miscellaneous. So few examples I have given: receipts or cash memo, paying slip, invoices, checks, credit note, debit note. Apart from this, there are many more source document vouchers. That's why I have written miscellaneous. A number of other source document. The other important documents include water bill. Normally every month water bill will be paid. So whatever bill we get from water department, that water bill is a source document. Electricity bill. Every month electricity bill will be paid. The electricity bill issued by the electricity department will be a source document. Telephone bill. Telephone bill will be issued by the telephone department. So when we make the payment, the telephone bill is the source document. Apart from that, we have tickets. A number of tickets are there, like airfare ticket or railway ticket, etc. bus ticket. So whatever tickets are there, that is also a source document. Apart from the salary registers, the names of the employees will be written in the salary register. So how much salary is paid and their signature is taken, that is also a source. Then registration document. A number of documents, legal documents like contracts, registration document, etc. All these are the source document. That's all. This is the end of this discussion on 3 questions. That is business transactions, examples of business transaction, what are source document, and what is the feature and importance of source document. Lastly, what are the types of source document. So watch the video at least 2-3 times. Definitely you will get more confidence on this unit number 3. Inshallah, we'll continue the next topic in the next video.